This is Budgeting 101 with Joni Kern.
Okay, we're going to talk about identity theft today. Identity theft is one of those things that we have begun hearing a lot about. I don't know how much we really understand or appreciate how vulnerable we are to people getting our personal information and using it for their own economic gain, which is essentially what identity theft is. It doesn't matter whether it is your bank accounts or whether it's your credit cards, and the credit cards are the most common. I read some stories online yesterday. This one guy not only got all of the credit cards and rang up $100,000 in debt, he bought a house and got a VA loan. He bought a car. And then, because it wasn't a federal crime at that time, he would call the people and taunt them and say, there's no way you could stop me. It costs this couple $15,000 to try to get their credit remedied, which is the biggest problem with identity theft, is that it ruins your credit. So we're going to talk today about the most common identity theft crimes, what they do. We are also going to talk about things that we can do just in our everyday life to prevent this from happening to us. And then if you turn to the last page, it actually is this really cool pie chart. I don't know if it's in color or black and white. It's in black and white. And it has, and we'll get to the contact information, but if you take a look at this, credit card fraud is 54% of all identity theft is credit card fraud. Fraudulent loans can happen. Bank fraud is your checking account, savings accounts, they drain them. And communication services, internet, your phones. Years ago, I had somebody get a hold of my cell phone and ring up all of these charges, and the cell company called me and said, were you in New York? And I went, no. Yeah. And so they, negated those charges, and then they did something that made my cell phone okay without changing the numbers. So the most common identity theft crimes, as I said, is credit cards and debit cards. What they do is lots of times they do what's called shoulder surfing. They will stand very near to you at ATMs. They now have little machines that you can't even tell are on there that will save your passwords and your debit card information or credit card information, and then they come back later and they take these little machines off, and they actually have all of your information, and they can get right into your bank account. And that's scary.
There are some new types of credit cards out there that have like RF chips built in, so you don't have to actually scan them through. You can just kind of swipe them near the surface. And I've seen some video of people going around with RF readers in their pocket and just walking, within a foot or two of someone's wallet, they can get all that data.
Which is great. I know that we have finally started putting chips. Is that the same kind of chips in credit cards here? That is supposed to be safer. Europe has been using them for years. And their theft, as far as identity theft credit cards, is far lower.
I have a policy, if you want to call it that. When we do online shopping, we have a credit card that's not tied to like our checking or our banking. It's a totally independent financial agency, separate from our normal stuff is. Is that a good way to prevent that?
That's a good way, and using only one credit card so that you can take, you need to watch all of your statements closely, but only using one credit card for any of your online shopping is a good idea, because then it's just limited to
I don't even put mine in my wallet.
that one card. That's actually, and we're going to talk about what you should have in your wallets here in a little bit too. That's an excellent idea. So you want to make sure, I mean, if you go to a restaurant and you pay with a credit card, lots of places will, you just put your credit card in there. That's something you want to, they have the credit card number, they have your little 3-code digit on the back. So that's, I mean, those are things. We no longer live in a cash society, and writing out a check takes you like a half an hour to get all of the information they want. I'm exaggerating just a little. So we live in a credit card, debit card society. So that's the way, that's where the fraud has gone. We just want to be careful, and we want to be aware of it. If we use it at stores or whatever, all of those, you know, walking past somebody and getting all the information, those are all possibilities. One of the things we really want to keep in mind as we talk about identity theft is that no matter how good a company is at their security, whether it's Amazon, whether it's eBay that just had a bunch of accounts stolen, what was it, a year ago? I mean, hackers can get into FBI. Who was it that just had 1 million? It was some government agency just got 1 million.
IRS, they, returns or something. Didn't they go?
IRS returns are another one that are,
Yeah, they got into
Well, yeah,
that.
because everybody does their taxes online now, and I'm one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you just never
Yeah.
know. I mean,
mm-hmm.
they say that it's secure, but
Yep, but it's, you know, you can be proactive or you can be reactive. And companies are spending so much time being reactive that it's hard to be proactive. How are you going to be proactive against something that you don't know exists yet? So it's really a matter of understanding that the companies that we deal with are doing the best they can, but they can only do just so much. Throwing away personal information, bank statements, credit card statements, even the junk mail that says you're pre-approved for a credit card or a loan, those papers, anything that has any of your personal information on, either need to be shredded or they need to be burnt. And shredding, you now need to use a cross-cut shredder so that you're a little bit safer. Lots of us can't burn. I got a burn barrel in the backyard. Lots of us can't burn, so that's something that you want to make sure doesn't go in the garbage. I was just watching, what the heck is his, Dirty Jobs. You know that show, Dirty Jobs?
Yeah.
I was just watching that, and he was at a recycling facility helping to separate glass and metal and plastic. And darned if he didn't come across somebody's credit card statement. And so he made this huge show of folding it up and sticking it in his pocket. And I thought that was a great way to remind us how easy it is for somebody to get our information.
I even shred the address label from my TV guide. I don't know if that's paranoid, but I do it.
I don't know. I mean, it certainly...
I mean, my name and address.
certainly doesn't hurt. The internet is a big place. Now that we have DSLs where we're constantly connected, people can get in if they know how. And it doesn't take much, does it, Josh, to know how to hack into a computer? I mean, it really doesn't. Josh is really computer savvy. It's what he does for a living. But it isn't, once you know how to do it, it isn't difficult at all to be able to hack into a computer unless you're me and you're a total computer idiot.
We're lucky we get in.
I know, I
Get
can get in
anybody else's.
But it's what these people do. I mean, that's what they do, is they spend their time doing it. So they can get in and they can get your bank account numbers and they can get credit card numbers. So they can get your passwords. So you want to make sure that you are careful. We are a society that is continuing to grow with how much online shopping we do. It's easy. I can get free shipping. It comes right to the house. I don't have to drive to a store. It's just nice. So, I mean, I use it. So that's one of the great things about having one card designated just for that, is that you have less to try to protect. Though once they have your information, they pretty much can do whatever they want. Responding to spam emails, you know, you ever get one of those emails that say, you've won $5 million, all you have to do is send $4,000 to Africa. It sounds stupid, And it sounds like something nobody would ever, you know how many people fall for that? I talked to one person, they got a phone call that said, your grandson is in jail in Chicago, cannot get in touch with anybody. We need money. If you send us money, we'll be able to get him out of jail. And she said, I probably would if I had a grandson.
Yeah, that'd be my reaction.
Again, that's something that works. And if they can get people responding emotionally instead of thinking logically, they've got it made.
The other thing with email aren't just the fake or spam emails where they're trying to get your stuff, but we had one person on staff here that was ordering something through a company and they emailed their credit card number to that company. You don't want to email any of that stuff to anyone.
Yeah, that's a
not
bad
the most
idea.
secure thing.
There's always, and emails never disappear. Just ask Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Emails never disappear.
No.
They're always on the hard drive, so it doesn't matter.
We archive every received and sent email here at the city for every employee, so I could go into this employee's archive and get that credit card number, or someone else that has access to that. So you don't want that stuff lingering.
And I
And
think a lot of people too do that sort of thing on public Wi-Fi networks, and that's probably the worst thing to do.
that's not a good idea either.
No.
I don't go into, very rarely have I gone into any of my personal information like bank accounts or credit card statements on Wi-Fi. It's bad enough I'm DSL and I'm wireless in the house, which means that somebody can park at the end of our driveway and get onto and use our internet. So, I mean, that's bad enough.
Do you recommend that we put our computer on sleep? Someone said I shouldn't do that, and then a lot of people
Doesn't matter.
say put it on sleep, because you know, an hour later and an hour later, you still think of something you have to answer, and I leave it on
It
sleep.
saves a little bit of electricity if you do that.
But I suppose they can get in anyway, whether I shut it down and I have to
And
start
it
all
doesn't
over.
necessarily have anything to do with your computer. Every time you go to Amazon, eBay, etc., your information's stored on their servers too. So even if your computer's off,
I don't
someone could.
use those, but
Does it help to turn the modem off, other than possibly saving electricity? Because when we're done with our computer stuff that we want to do whatever at home.
So much of the stuff that happens to people are either fake emails that you reply to and that, your computer's on
Oh.
or you're replying to it's real, or just these big companies getting hacked into their servers. I mean, at the end of the day, turning your computer off, turning your internet off, probably isn't going to make a world of difference with identity theft. It's what
Okay.
you're actively doing, or who else has your data.
And the great point about that is Josh is right. I mean, a hacker is not going to necessarily go into my computer when they can, if they're good enough, go into Amazon or eBay and get, a million records instead of just one. Yep. Preventing it. I've got a new one too, which is, I just heard about this last week and I went, be careful when you're using credit or debit cards in public. Of course, we talked about that. We talked about how easy it is for those people that have RF readers to go by and get your information right out of your wallet. Like, I know what that is, but that's all right. It just gives you, only taking one credit card with you if you know you're going to use it is a great idea. Otherwise, leaving it home it's just a little bit more careful. And we are moving into, we need to be more and more careful with our personal information. We just do. If you're using a credit card over the phone, make sure that you're in a private place so that people can't overhear you. There are times when I need to do a credit card transaction over the phone, but as time passes, it's less and less. If someone calls you and says, you want to buy this, we just need your credit card information over the phone, say, I need to call you back with that, what's your number? Because if they hang up, it's fraud. If it's a legitimate company, they're going to give you that information so you can call them right back. I have started, when people do that, even if they give me a phone number, I will go online and I will find the phone number online so that if somebody's smart enough, like if I called you and you said, let me give you a call back, and I gave you my number, then you wouldn't know that.
is it real?
Exactly. So I'll go online and I will call their general number and I will go through all of the pain to actually get to the person that I need, because at least then I'm comfortable knowing that that I'm safe and my information is safe. Don't respond to any of the over-the-phone offers for credit. If they want to offer you something, ask them to send you a written application and then look over it very carefully. There's a lot of mail fraud. There's mail fraud too that happens, so you want to be careful about, again, where you do that. Besides which, if somebody is offering you credit, you can find them online and you can print out an application, or you can do the credit card application online. So getting a written one in the mail, I don't think is a whole lot better. And keep in mind that companies want you to do it online because it's so much cheaper than actually mailing you out something and then processing it when it comes back in. So they're not going to choose written or phone if they can do it on the internet. Okay?
One lady that had some trouble told me that she buys LifeLock now. And she said, oh, it's only $29 a month or whatever it was. And I thought, well, gee, that's a lot too. Is it worth it?
I asked somebody about that. I asked one of my teachers, actually, when I was still in school, and he said, I don't think it's worth it. Just keep an eye on your statements. And you can get, and it's in the list, I'll get there. Don't respond to email offers for credit that you didn't initiate. Another huge thing is, and I bank at Prospera Credit Union, so I, every once in a while, have been known to get an email from Prospera that says, you know, whatever, we need your information. Those are all scams, and it is never more than 24 or 48 hours. I get an email from Prospera, do not respond. Okay, you're 48 hours late. But they don't. They have all of that on file. They have they have all of your checking account information. They have your secret word. They have all of that. And there is absolutely no reason they would contact you. Besides which, if they really needed that, they would send you a letter. Mm-hmm. My bank will always send me a letter and say, I need you to do something for me. So just watch the emails. Opening up emails, opening up attachments to emails that you don't recognize is also a way for not only worms and viruses, but hackers can get in that way. So I'm just careful. I mean, I will look at emails from Josh because I know him. I'll look at emails from friends of mine, but if I don't recognize the company, I just delete them. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk to you anyway. I got more stuff to do with my time. Shred any documents that have any personal information on them. It may be a little over the top to shred your address labels. To err on the side of more careful is always better than to err on the side of less careful. To make sure, especially if, you know, my garbage goes to the dump. I don't think anybody can get in that huge crusher machine they have. But it's amazing what you can, it's amazing, especially in city garbage. I used to go dumpster hunting when I was younger. It's where I got all of my original kitchen stuff, and I had this wonderful orange sofa that came out of the dumpster, and I used to get books and jewelry. Somebody'd get mad at their boyfriend and they'd throw away jewelry. Every once in a while there was really nice stuff in there. People do go dumpster hunting. I didn't go for people's personal information. I should have been that smart. I'd be a whole lot richer. Or in jail. I don't know which. But people will go through dumpsters to find stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It really is. Just because you can't imagine doing it doesn't mean that somebody else won't. Dumpster hunting can be fun until the cops come by. Change your passwords often. It's a pain in the butt to change passwords. I knew someone who had a password protected file on his computer that had all of his passwords in it because he changed them so often he couldn't remember them. I've been known to put it on a sticky note, do it on my desk. Yeah, bad idea. Yeah. So it's trying to find passwords, trying to find a very safe place. Like if you have little safe at home that you can put them in, anything that makes them a little bit safer, because if you're changing passwords often, you're never going to remember them, especially if you do the passwords they want, which are words that don't exist with numbers and characters. And
Yeah, everybody's got, you have to have 2 of this and 1 of those. And,
yeah, and it gets,
a document.
and I can get easily irritated at that. They're trying to keep my information safe.
One of the things I heard about to keep your passwords so you don't have to write it down, but to remember, like if you wanted to do a Mountain Dew as your password, keep your can of Mountain Dew or whatever your object may be that would just keep it on your desk as a reminder as to what it is. Change, like let's say it is the Mountain Dew, and you would put a dot in there if you went to a dot, and you would have that in front of you all the time because no one else is going to know the significance of it, or maybe an odd pen or something that normally you would not have there, but you bring an object in and you set it on your desk or by your computer, laptop, or whatever you're using as a reminder. That's what it is.
What a great reason to bring my horses indoors.
There you go.
There you go.
I have
that commercial with the guy always, his hint is his cat's name. Security. He's got
He has
30
10 cats, yeah.
Well, you know, and I started doing that. I have started doing animal names and ages
Even after they died, I kept it.
That's what I do.
because I have so many animals that I can switch back and forth between them and the ones that I've lost, and there isn't anybody.
And you get a picture of your favorite horse for the month of your.
There you
and then
go.
You post that one today. You're my favorite.
There you go.
So you think you shouldn't keep your password package, like say you have 6 of them, you shouldn't just leave it on your desk?
Yeah, probably
Maybe
not.
somewhere else, but
We-
I keep one because I can't remember them all either.
We have talked about keeping your important papers. If something happens to me, somebody has to get those passwords. So if you set up your file as I've encouraged, and you have your passwords in that file, you have the file in a pretty safe place because you don't want people to get that information. That would be a great place to save those passwords. And then if something happens to you, then somebody else is able to get into your accounts that they need to get into, and you have your password somewhere other than on top of your desk.
Yeah, somewhere else, but yeah, we forget what they are. I mean, maybe you only go into something twice a year. You think, was that the cat or did I use the dog's name? You know, even though they're all dead, nobody else remembers.
That's right.
Yeah, it's my-
And I don't remember, and I think, how do I get into whatever that thing is, for foods, marketplace, and I only use it maybe twice a year. Can't even remember it.
I know. I
didn't
know.
write it down somewhere.
I know. Don't keep your Social Security card in your wallet. Do any of us do that? I had a wallet stolen. I had a purse stolen out of my apartment. I'd gone swimming to the pool, left my patio door open at the apartment, and somebody went in and took my purse. And it was found several days later. Somebody called me. Evidently, I didn't have enough money because they left my change in the bottom of my purse. They were after my wallet, and they got Social Security card, and they got driver's license, and they got all of that. So keeping that in a safer place, just keep in mind that sometimes, depending on your appointment, and they will tell you, we need 2 forms of ID, or we need your Social Security card. So then you're going to have to bring it along.
Because I had my wallet stolen when I was still down in Union Grove, and boy, that was the biggest eye-opener. All they took was, like, well, they took the cash out of it. They left the credit cards and everything else alone, but...
You think? Or they had a piece of paper and a pencil.
Canceled them, but, you know, and then it ended up the next day, our mailman brought it back. Somebody dumped it in the mailbox, and he brought it back to me, but that was the biggest darn eye-opener I ever had. I felt so violated.
I know. It doesn't take much for people, especially if you're busy and you carry your purse on your shoulder or you set it down. I'm really good at that. Putting it in the grocery cart, I'm really good at that. It doesn't take much for people to just slip by and pick something and it wouldn't be noticed.
I could have 20 cents in my purse, but I'll treat it like there's $20 million in it. I guess I'm about it, but.
Again, it doesn't hurt to be a little overly
I've seen
security
so many
cautious.
People with their purses in the carts and they walk away from them.
No, I'm one of them. I'm one of them. I've been known to do that. This is a new one. You know, I work part-time at an insurance office, and someone's car was broken into in the Kmart parking lot, and the only thing they took was the car registration. And I said, huh? So I asked somebody else about it, and they said, you know why? All of your personal information is right there and it's accessible. Not to mention the fact that they could sell that registration on the black market for someone who is
Registration or title?
registration. And we are told to keep it in our car. So we either keep it in a really safe place, hidden somewhere that nobody would ever find it, or keep it in your wallet, something that you always take with you.
Much on it, is there?
Well, there's your name and your address and
License plate number?
license plate number. There's enough. There's enough. I just thought that that's the only thing they took out of this car, and it was a BMW. I mean, they didn't take the car. The only thing they did was take the registration. So I thought, and think about this: if somebody has figured out how to get a lot of your personal information from a registration, where does everybody keep their car registration?
Just easily in the glove compartment.
You're right. So what an easy way to know exactly what you're looking for and when to look for it, where to look for it, and how to grab it.
Then you have to carry it, but you have to hide it now? Then I probably forget where it
I
was.
just
Because
think,
you
I
can't
thought,
check it if you don't have it.
or no, you get a warning.
A warning?
You get a
That's-
warning, and you have to provide the
got a
information.
warning.
It's like insurance.
She had to find it right away, and she couldn't find it in her car. And she felt so awful.
Hmm.
You're driving your own car.
Yep.
But you made her feel like she stole it or something because she couldn't find it.
My insurance cards are kept in my wallet. I've yet to move the registration in there, but my insurance cards are kept in the wallet instead of being in, because I should have my wallet everywhere I go because it's got my driver's license. So I just keep them in there. I just thought that that was a really interesting twist, and I'd never heard that before. There are three major credit bureaus. There is TransUnion, which is used most commonly up here. There's Equifax, and there's Experian. You have the legal right to get one credit bureau from each company every 12 months. So when I talked to my teacher about LifeLock, he said, you are just as safe if you get one credit bureau every 4 months. So get TransUnion in September, get Equifax in January, get Experian in May, so that you can keep an eye on your credit. You know if anybody has opened up any accounts, and it's a whole lot faster than getting one a year or waiting, because sometimes they can get past you and you don't find out about it because they'll make the payments and you won't find out about it for years in advance. Also keep in mind that people I had something happen on one of my credit cards, and I very rarely use the card. This gal in Chicago started charging, and what she did was she got an account with someone who protects your identity for $29.95 a month, and she was putting it on my credit card. If that makes any sense.
Oh my.
I know. And she was from Chicago. So I called the credit card company, and they said, do you know anybody in Chicago? And I went, no. How on earth she got that information, I will never understand. Going past my wall, I don't know. She got the information. I talked to somebody else yesterday. One of his cards was used in New York City. And he never goes to New York City. So it's not just in this area that you need to. So that's a really good way. I had a brother-in-law one of his sons stole his identity. Did not know it for years. Got loans, got credit cards, and it wasn't until Corey stopped making all the payments and David wanted to buy a house. that he found out about this. So he was going through all of this mess. And then he has to try to convince these companies that his son stole it and not that he actually gave the information to his son.
Wow.
You never know. You never know. Never know.
Does it make us feel like even employees are not to be trusted? Like maybe when you filled out your papers, the employee left the next week or something, makes you feel like they're not trustworthy?
Employee information goes on the computer, like all the city employee information isn't on a computer.
It's on the computer, but you gotta think about every piece of paper you turn in, every application for employment that gets turned in, whose desk is that sitting on, who has access
Yeah, and
to
then
walk
she
to that
leaves
desk.
the next week and starts using your paperwork or your numbers?
It's, you know what, unfortunately, it would be nice if everybody who was dishonest had to wear a red tag on their nose or something so that we always knew. Or if they were always used car salesmen, we would just know never to buy a used car. That's not the way that works. There's dishonest people everywhere.
So much stuff that can happen in a workplace that you don't think about. We've changed our policies, but at the end of the day, City Hall staff would go home, leave their computers wide open where anyone can sit down and get personnel records, utility customer records. Anyone could just walk in there that had access to that office and just get all that information or change stuff. Just employment applications, personnel records, sitting out, not in a secure location that people could get to. I mean,
You just
things in the workplace that could happen.
You just think, you know, the door's going to be locked, or you're in a hurry to leave. Every once in a while, I forget to log out of my computer at work, and it locks. But I go in the next, really? I mean, we need to log out. It's an insurance company. We have all of your personal information. But it happens. Now it's American Family, which is 12 states with home office in Madison. So they're probably going to break in up here? No. But they will hack and they will get into Madison's computers. So that is something, but not leaving stuff out, not leaving stuff on your desk at home. You know, how many times do you get visitors or somebody comes over or whatever and you're distracted? Yeah. You know, people look, it's something like, this is a little off topic, but it's something like 80% of the people who use your home bathroom will open up your medicine cabinet.
I've heard that.
Yeah, I have too.
Really?
Like for drugs or whatever. But yeah.
Doing whatever. People steal drugs, but they just want to know what kind of toothpaste you use. It's just, I don't know what it is. And I thought, I am so glad I'm one of the 20% that just doesn't, because that's not my space.
It's like going through somebody's purse in my opinion.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But if 80% of people do that, then, you know, it certainly isn't that high for them to take something off your desk, but it still can happen pretty easily. And we have people at our house that we don't necessarily trust from time to time. See ya.
I'll see you later. Sorry, thank you.
Look over all your credit card statements and your bank statements very carefully. Just make sure, because that's your first line of defense, is to make sure that all of that information is correct. Keep your receipts so that at the end of the month you can compare them, and then you know, I didn't go to Subway, and then you know. Because people who steal credit card information most of the time will start out with a $1 or $2 charge, and then they step it up and they go shopping. So, and credit card companies have been known to call people and say, somebody just spent $600 on your card. We bought 2 suits for my husband years ago. We no sooner got home than there was a call from the credit card company. Did you just buy suits? Because somebody just bought suits. I was a little irritated. How, you know what I mean? What do you do? Nothing but sit. They are trying to protect me and to be proactive. They're just doing the best job they can.
Out of town, you mean? Maybe you went out.
No, we were in Appleton. We were in Appleton when we bought a suit. We were 3 miles from home. But it was. We don't normally go to, I mean, we've been married for 18 years, together for 20, and once we've gone to a suit shop and bought him suits. So it was an odd enough and an odd enough amount that it flagged. It just red flagged as something that isn't common to this customer. So what do you do if something happens? The Federal Trade Commission has several offices set up to try to help you with credit card fraud. It is a federal fraud. Identity theft is a federal crime now. So you can go to the Federal Trade Commission. You can go online, you can call them, you can mail them something. And then there are, depending on the situation, there are all kinds of statewide and local places that you can call as well. If you start with something like the Federal Trade Commission, they will steer you if you need to be steered towards somebody else. The gal whose car was broken into and got the registration, she called the cops and she made a police report. Just a good idea to have that on record with the police, so that if they start to see somebody else files the same complaint as somebody else, now they know that they have something they need to take a look at. And if they're all out of the Kmart parking lot, they need to start looking at that. So it's a really good idea. But you know, whether you call the police or whether you call the state or you call your credit card, you have to call your bank or you have to call the credit card companies. But it's always a good idea to start. So I put that information in there for you as well.